You're listening to the Handcrafted Therapy Podcast with massage therapist and business owner, Julie Alexander. That's me. I'm your host. I've been a massage therapist for 17 years, and I have a business marketing degree. On this podcast, we'll be interviewing industry professionals that can talk to us about how to run your business better, how to be a better massage therapist overall, and how to take care of yourself and give yourself a little love, a little self-care. Little grace in your life. I am so glad that you're here. Thanks so much for joining us today. So I just wanted to introduce Hilary. Is that right?
Yes.
And yeah, Bodywork. Is that how you say your company name?
So it was Gaia Bodywork.
Gaia Bodywork.
And then this spring, I started a new project. So I changed my business name and I am now called the Healing Hut. So it's healing like Heeling. So like a heel of a foot.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like a little pun for a barefoot massage. So that's mainly what I practice. And then I do Ayurvedic style body treatments. So
very nice. Okay. And you're located in Garland. Is that correct?
So my office had a fire at the beginning of the year. And so for many, many years, I practiced in Richardson and I was able to go back to my old office. One of the really great things about having friends in the massage industry is that they're kind of there to pick you up and to help you out when you're in a bad situation. So my office caught fire and I was able to go back to where I had been working. And now I'm about to move to Plano. So I'll be in the same city as you.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. Well, I know that it's been a really big struggle to deal with what you've dealt with in the last year with your cute little yellow house being destroyed by the fire and your dreams of this healing hut and what you created. It was just heartbreaking for me and others that are your friends to see what you went through. But you know, each and every traumatic experience that happens in our lives, we learn something from it, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to kind of talk about that a little bit. And maybe there's a lesson there for all of us, especially our listeners, that you have learned from, that fire and having to restart your whole business and your whole life. And how did you manage that? I mean, you talk about your network of massage therapists that helped you. What do we do when we're in trouble and we need help?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an awesome thing to talk about, actually, because I think that people become very competitive in our industry just out of fear, right? So especially if you have your own business, it's scary to put yourself out there and then to think that there's enough for everyone. And so that's kind of where you have to get in your mindset to be able to really network. And networking is mostly about just getting to know other people. It's not really about presenting yourself as much. So creating friendships and relationships in your local massage group is super important. And I'm like a really good example of why it's so important because I lost everything. So I've been practicing for many years. I had many years of equipment that is not usable. So 4 massage tables and one I had just bought that was like a brand new, beautiful. Right. So, all of my equipment was in a fire. So I had no equipment. I had no place to work. It just came out of nowhere. It was a problem with the wiring in the building. So it was just something that, of course, like nobody plans to have this happen. And so what do? And I was able to reach out to someone immediately, actually, two different people immediately, and have like plan B, plan C. And that's just, to me, that was everything. So, and just to be like, having people say, don't worry about that. Like, come to work when you feel ready, like you have a place to do that. You have a place to see clients. You don't have to cancel appointments if you don't want to. You can use our equipment until you get back on your feet. Like, just don't even worry about any of that. You're going through this traumatic moment, just have your moment. And that was just wonderful to be able to jump in, make a plan, and then step back and be like, whoa, let me have this time to grieve and also to just take it in, because it's like, it was a huge change. So I think really important to just be involved in your local massage industry, just in any way that you can that's positive. So
I'm really glad to hear that your friends and our industry stepped up for you in your time of
yeah,
need.
yeah,
Because I think that we are, we're a small group of people. We really are. Every industry seems small, really, when you get into it and you start meeting everybody. But massage is no different than that. Start to network with people and the same names start coming up and you start realizing that, oh, you were in my class 2 years ago, right?
yeah,
And you're absolutely right about the whole competition thing. There really is enough business for everybody out there. And to talk a little bit about marketing for just 1 second, the people that come to see me might not necessarily be the same kind of client that comes to see you and vice
right.
versa. And some of the people that come to see me may be better suited to go see you. And that's okay too. And I think as we grow in our profession, and you and I have been in this a long time, I think as you grow in the profession that we're in and become more confident with your skills, that becomes more and more evident that I have my niche, I have my lane, you have your lane. It might be different lanes. And
Right.
hey, we're not competing against each other. I just referred one of my clients over to you yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I'm just very thankful that the massage community has given you a big hug, because I think I personally wanted to give you a big hug, even if it was the middle of COVID, and say, I'm sorry that you lost your baby, because our businesses are our baby.
Yeah, they take so much time and effort and thought. A lot of what we do is sensory. So, thinking about how things look and how things feel and how things smell and how things sound, like all of these things, we have to really pay a lot of attention to. And so it does become like such a sensory thing for us, and where, just like you said, it's our baby. It's our thing that we think about most. And I wouldn't have it any other way, right? Like, I love it and I love everything about it. I know you're the same way. And I've been to your space and it's just so beautiful. And it really has, every touch is you. You know what I mean? Like, I just love it there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, where are you practicing out of now?
Yeah. So I'm in Richardson, which is a suburb of Dallas. And I am practicing, it's like a little office suite, which I know a lot of massage therapists work in that area when you have your own business. We have about 6 massage therapists in our suite, and we all kind of do different things, and lots of old timers there. You know what I mean? Like, people who have been in the business forever. So they're very open and very, very sweet. And I had my first 2 classrooms there. I'm an educator, so I teach a different massage and Reiki, and sometimes I do couples massage classes and things like that. So I had my classroom there. I could just jump in and start teaching my classes. So that's where I am now. And then I'm going to be moving just north of that into Plano. And I'm doing a big build out soon. So I'll have my classroom with the Ashiatsu bars, which is always an adventure when you're building the Ashiatsu bars. So I'm getting geared up.
Can you tell us a little bit about Ashi, what it is, and just basics?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people know it by Ashiatsu. We've kind of started to talk about it saying barefoot massage, just because Ashiatsu is its own thing and definitely westernized the technique, right? So barefoot massage is where the massage therapist gives a deep tissue massage to their client with their feet instead of their hands. So it can be very detailed, which a lot of people don't realize how detailed we can get with our feet. Our feet are super sensitive. They can palpate. They can kind of floss through different areas at this very deep pressure. So it's a great way to give a deep tissue with a lot of ease. You know what I mean? So you're not having to like grind in with your elbows and sweat and just feel frustrated. With this style, you can use your body weight and the help of gravity. And then we also have the overhead bars that we hold on to for balance. And in the classes that I teach and the style of Ashiatsu or barefoot massage that I practice, it's called Fashi Ashi. And so we're really slow and really detailed, very intentional work. And you might see in some of our marketing, we're using a strap that kind of comes down from the wall or the ceiling. And this helps us get different angles of pressure with our feet. So we can be very detailed, we can be very thorough, and just give a deep tissue that doesn't hurt like sometimes a traditional deep tissue can for clients. So there's not that pokey elbow. And then like it's much less effort on the massage therapist, which is kind of something that I love. Just to kind of go off on a tangent a little bit. Sorry, Julie.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So what I was listening to a podcast earlier, and this woman that I really loved, she's not a massage therapist, but she talks about some of the same values that I have. And the way that she explains it is to model this option of doing less, right? And so like modeling that option of doing less for my clients, because people are so busy these days. And we know like the more busy we are, the less we have time to really do things that we enjoy. And then our stress goes up. And so I love modeling doing less. And then also for my Ashi students, my barefoot massage students, just doing less physical labor and still being able to give the client a really amazing deep tissue massage. So, and that's good for their business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the lifespan of a regular massage therapist career is like 3 years, I think. And it's dramatically low because I think we have so much high injury rate, usually because of our hands and wrists and thumbs, sometimes back, poor posture, poor body mechanics, overworked.
Right.
I think a lot of the listeners can relate to some of these things. I know I can. And to me, I have I'm in love with getting Ashi massages. I receive them on a regular basis from my colleague Bridget, and I'm right. Well, she was taught under you, and it's pretty incredible. You're absolutely right. How much she can do with her feet and at such a less effort. We both do deep tissue all day, every day, all day long.
Right.
And I know that when she's a little younger than me too, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm 80 years old and she's ready to go out and have a good time. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to say to our listeners, if you're thinking about, or if you're on the fence about, okay, what am I going to do? My hands hurt. How am I going to extend my career? This is a really good option to look into. And, maybe Hillary can also talk about the fact that, and this is something that I personally struggle with when it comes to learning Ashi myself, is that I am not a small, petite Asian woman. I am not. And
You're kind of likening it to the original style, which kind of comes from Eastern healing modalities. So are you saying that you feel like that would get in your way from learning just because you wouldn't be comfortable, maybe?
right. I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt somebody with all my weight on top of them, And I'm also afraid of holding myself up with those Ashi bars and that my arms are going to be tired. And I'm sure you address this kind of stuff in your classes.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about.
So there's a lot of misconceptions when you actually look at the style, right? So just visually looking at it, it looks like then other things that you might see. It looks like all of our body weight is on them or that we're holding our body weight up. And in class, I actually teach you to not put all your body weight on them and to not hold yourself up into the bars. So the bars are just there for you as support, right? So you don't want to use those as something to hang on. So you really have to be strong in your leg. So if you didn't have really good extensibility or flexibility in your hips or in your legs, and it's more about, I was going to say athleticism, but it's not really athleticism, but you do have to be healthy in that way over. So it's not really about like how much you weigh, although you have to think about what your equipment can support. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to support your client's weight. So whatever that would be, if you tend to have clients who are larger bodies, which is great for barefoot massage, Ashiatsu, you have to think about that and your weight on the table and if the table might break. Yeah. So there's a lot of emphasis on using equipment properly so that all of these worries can fall away. And then you can just focus on your client, giving them the best deep tissue massage and working really slow and intentionally and listening and communicating with clients, which can be a little bit different from a traditional massage environment where the client's asleep or the client doesn't want to talk. We have this open line of communication with our clients about pressure and depth of pressure. And if something feels productive or, something is just pain, and then always bringing it into the therapeutic realm, right? So like pain is not where we want to be. We want to be like intensity is good, but so we talk about all of these things in class to ease those worries and fears.
So even if you are 90 pounds, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do Ashiatsu is what I'm kind of getting at. And it sounds like you address some of those issues. And I think as a massage therapist, don't be afraid to try it. And you guys go to a lot of trade shows with the MTA and other places. I know Jenny Spring is a big part of that.
Yes.
Which is a great way to introduce Ashi into your life just to see if it's something that you're even capable of doing or interested in?
So definitely find somebody in your area who practices the technique and go get it done and see if you love it. I love that you're in love with the technique and you get it pretty frequently. It just opens your mind a little bit more about how it affects you on the client level. And if you love that, then that's an easy thing to sell to your deep tissue clients. Like, I love this. I get this. This is everything.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
I love the concept of being able to have so many. I mean, as massage therapists, we have so many options as a
Right.
business owner. Where you can work, how you can work. And this is just one of several options. So I think as a listener that's a massage therapist, if you haven't heard or had an Ashiatsu massage, I encourage you to go get one. Now, I don't know if there's anybody else out there that's listening that has the same problem, but probably there's somebody out there. But I have this weird thing about feet. I don't really like feet very much because my dad's feet stink. So when I was growing up, I had this weird thing that I didn't want to be around anybody's stinking feet. And so when I first started learning about Ashi and somebody actually using their feet to massage me, I was a little freaked out by it. Tell you, Jenny Spring did a great job of conveying to me that there's a whole, of course, just like everything else we do in massage, there's a whole protocol around cleaning your feet and keeping your feet healthy and happy and clean. So the person on the table is not, you shouldn't feel grossed out by that because you guys definitely take good care of your feet and make sure that there's no toe jam going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Jam would not be cool at all.
No, not at all. And I mean, I know there's feet washing stations and you have a bunch of different things that you guys use to make sure that your feet are clean and safe to use on the body. So if you're hesitant to get an Ashi massage because you're anti feet, I encourage you to get past your fear of stinky feet or
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to think about it like these are our tools, right? And so if you're strictly a barefoot massage therapist, meaning that you use your feet to massage, you're doing a lot of care. So, or you're taking a lot of care. So you're making sure they're really soft and warm, and you want them to be obviously sanitized and clean. We don't walk around on the floor without shoes. So we're always making sure that the health of our feet is very important. But on that flip side, the same thing like you were talking about earlier, we all do different things and we all have clients who enjoy different things, right? So if you can't get past the foot thing, then that's great because Julie is here to help you with deep tissue in a more traditional fashion. If you don't like deep pressure and deep tissue and you're not ready to go that extra depth that barefoot massage gives you, then great. There's someone else close by that can refer you to,
Yeah.
And so not everything is for everyone. And that's great, you know. But if you have kind of hit a wall with your deep tissue sessions and you want something more, then Ashiatsu barefoot massage is going to be definitely something that you're going to want to try just because it's hard to replicate the depth of pressure, the different angles of pressure, and also just the sensation of it with your hands. So it truly is a different deep tissue massage.
I love it. Well, I'm so thankful that you are available to share your experience with Ashi and to clarify what it is for the client as well as the massage therapist for us in today's podcast.
And I always like to talk to students about the aspect of marketing your business. When you do have these massage therapy is already difficult to market, but then you have a specific technique that isn't like a niche market that only certain people are going to enjoy. And so being able to figure out who those people are so that you can actually market to people who are like, heck yeah, sign me up and have a positive energy about it. So that's definitely something that we talk about in our workshops as well. Just like all of the technique and then all of the equipment and then how do you market and talk to people about it. These are things that are super important to be able to go out and have your own practice and make those connections with other people, whether they're massage therapists or a client. A lot of my clients are massage therapists. You probably have the same situation in your practice as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. In my first podcast episode, I interviewed Peggy Lamb and I asked her the question, what is one of the most important things that you've learned as a massage therapist that you can share with us today? And what she mentioned, which is what you mentioned earlier, which is find a mentor or find your people, find your circle of people that can really help nurture your business and help you through the tough times. And if you're a massage therapist listening to this podcast and you survived the pandemic, congratulations, because there's a lot of us that didn't. And so I want to give you kudos up front and say, you're adaptable. You can do this. Continue to be the badass body worker that you are. But Hilary, is there any other advice that you would like to share with our listeners?
I don't know. I think that just being open and being patient and being excited about the work that you're doing and who you're helping, especially in the beginning of your practice, can really help you figure out where you want to go. So trying a bunch of different things when you're trying to figure out who you are and who you help as a massage therapist is really helpful in the beginning, and approaching people to find out more about them and being like very respectful and interested in what they have going on. Everybody wants to be seen and everybody wants to be heard. And so just being able to create those relationships in your business life is super important. And then also, I know you wanted to talk about self-care, like you're a big self-care person. So am I. I love self-care. But I think one of the really important things also is to have your own outlets as well. So getting healing work from other people who may do acupuncture or something that's not really in a massage therapist's wheelhouse, but you definitely get to meet other people and learn other insight on healing work. And then just being able to model that behavior of just do less, relax, rest when you're tired. Like if you're injured, take some time off. Don't hurt yourself to help other people because we're not really in alignment with our values there. So think about that aspect too. Like, how do you take care of yourself so that you can be there for other people? That's super important as a massage therapist.
I love everything that you just said. I mean, because there were 3 or 4 different points there that you made. I mean, one of them is practice what you preach, right? Get self-care, take care of yourself. If you're telling your clients they should come in once a month, so should you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I think people who are getting into massage therapy at this time, it might not have been that way when we were getting into massage therapy, but now the values that people learn in their first job is how many massages can you do? Oh, I can do 8 to 10 massages a day. Well, yeah, that's not going to lend itself to a long-term career in massage therapy. Just like you were talking about earlier, the statistic is 3 to 5 years right now. And a lot of it is because of burnout. And that is so not one of our values, right? Like as a massage therapist, we're trying to heal the world from burnout. We're trying to heal people from repetitive strain injuries, which is like one of our main problems as a massage therapist, regardless of what technique you do. Even though Ashiatsu gives you a different tool to use, we still have to be conscious of repetitive strain injury. Anything you do over and over and over again, you're going to have that problem. When your employer, when they're interviewing you and they're saying, how many can you do? This gives this false sense of importance on how much work you can physically produce. And of course, like that's what they want from you, of course, because they're a business. But as a massage therapist who's looking for a long-term career, it forces this value of do all you can versus be a smart business person and figure out what's the least amount of massages you can do to reach your financial goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't have to kill yourself trying to make $1 today when you sacrifice years of massage business later.
Right. Into something else that it's not where your heart is. Maybe massage is where your heart is, but you just can't physically do it anymore.
Yeah, we don't want you to get burnout.
Right.
That's our whole point. But something I want to mention that you had talked about or touched on a little earlier was that when you're in a session with somebody and you're focused on that client, and that's where your mind and body is in that moment because you're the therapist.
Right.
That can be mentally, not just physically, but mentally exhausting because you're focused on their needs, especially coming out of a global pandemic. So that's another part of self-care that we really don't talk about a lot. And it's becoming more prominent now. I mean, especially with Simone Biles coming out and saying, I can't compete in the Olympics. I need to focus on my mental health. And I want to touch on that as a massage therapist too, because when you're in session and you're focused on that client, even though we have our own lives going on in our heads outside of work, when they come in, you're talking about them and their issues and their problems, and they're dumping it all on you, just like you're their counselor or bartender or whatever. But, how do we cleanse ourselves of that bad energy after your session is over? I mean, do you have any advice on that?
I do. What do you like to do? Like, what's your kind of ritual go to?
I mean, I do a lot of breathing techniques and meditation. That's kind of my go-to.
Yeah.
I've been kind of trying to teach my husband how to do this as well when we get stressed at home, just working on the breathing techniques and focus on clearing the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. What we do is so physical. And so having a physical ritual or routine that you do to kind of get you in the mindset and then also like out of the mindset, because we don't want to take other people's stresses home with us, which that happens regardless when you have your own business and you're working with people who have issues. I mean, this pandemic, it's just one of my clients says, like, the free floating anxiety is palpable. It's like everywhere and everybody even if they're not aware of it. It's just,
Yeah, it's thick in the air. You can cut it with a knife.
and then being in a situation where you're trying to relieve that for someone, you're trying to create space for someone to escape that. Like, we definitely need our own escape. So yeah. So even just something simple like washing my hands, and like everything is about intention, right? So as I'm washing my hands, I'm intentionally saying, I'm washing this away, or my feet, or whatever. And just taking a few minutes, just like you're talking about the breath work, like that is so intentional to pay attention to the air that's coming in and out of your body. Like bringing that physical experience that you're having that no one else is having because you're your own human. That's a really great way to kind of settle into, okay, I was in treatment. Now I'm out of treatment. I'm not in the treatment room anymore. And then, of course, I like to blare like some heavy metal in my car on the way home, you know? Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
I love that.
Well, if I could tell you a little bit of a story very quickly, I want to share this story with you because I think it's important to the subject we're talking about. When I was a newbie, a very new massage therapist, one of my first clients within the first few months came in, and she's from another city. Her and her girlfriend came to visit Dallas because she had just lost her husband.
Oh, wow.
And she and her friend came to visit Dallas because she had never been here before. There were no historical memories of her husband being in the city. And so she wanted a new memory and a way to get away and have a weekend. And of course, they booked massages at the hotel I was working at. And she came in to see me, and her body physically manifesting all the stress of losing her husband. And she was my age. She is in her 40s. And I went home, and I still feel that emotion today,
Right.
years later, because that's one of the scariest things for me to think about is losing my husband. And she had to go through that. And I had to help her go through that. And I didn't know what to do. And I think that was my very first time where I thought, I need to figure out how to ground myself, how to learn how to take whatever they're going through and not keep it within me. Let it flow out, right? Breathe in good, exhale the bad. And we all have as clients that have gone through these things. They got cancer, they lost their dog, they lost their spouse, or whatever's happening. We've all had to deal with a client on the table that is suffering in some way. And how do we not take that on as empaths? Because that's what we do. I feel your pain. Literally, I feel your pain in every way, physically and mentally. So I think I've used the word grounding now, and I think that's an important way to really let that emotion go through your body, out your feet, and into the ground.
Yeah.
The way I mentally think about it.
And when you were talking about just now about the fear of being present with someone who's going through something that is extremely stressful and then also like heartbreaking, and your biggest fear just being it's so confronting. Just sit there with someone. You can't make it better, right? Like you can't bring him back. And that was never going to be something that you could do, but you could do your best in the massage, just creating this space, this time for her to grieve, maybe in a different way, which is sounding what she wanted. Like she wanted to get out of town and like have a new experience and maybe grieve in a different way. And then also being totally fine with that. I think I've had a similar experience with a client who so her daughter lost twin babies. And so she was so angry. Like she was going to be the grandmother. She was definitely going through grief, and she was at the anger part of grief. And so just being able for me to sit there with someone who was so pissed, and heartbroken, and showing up with this, just like with rage, basically, and being able to be like, this is okay. Like, this is manageable. This is okay. I don't have to make this better. And there's literally nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, I like to kind of joke about it, but we do need to have our own therapy. We need to go talk to somebody about these things, because you and I are both, I think you said you've been doing massage for almost 20 years. And I'm kind of in that same boat. And it's really wish I had someone I could talk to about all of these experiences and how it affects me on
Well,
the
that's
inside.
exactly why I wanted to create this podcast and my store, because with the store and the training center and this podcast, I feel like there's so much out there that we don't learn in massage school,
Right.
that we're not ready for when it happens. And
Right.
And to have somebody walk in your door that just went through something like that traumatic, how do you deal with that? And, hopefully the massage therapists that are listening never have to deal with this. But to be honest with you, you're going to have somebody that comes in and goes, I was just diagnosed with cancer, or my daughter just died, or whatever the problem is. And you have to be the rock. And we weren't trained to do that. Like nurses, I feel like doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals have some sort of, I don't know, maybe they don't, but I feel like they have some sort of training on how to do that. Like how to not break down in that moment. How to not go home and cry your eyes out for that person that night. And I think it's okay to feel that, to cry your eyes out for them.
You're a human being, and
you should have empathy for them, and you should feel like, and maybe it's okay to sit there and cry with them. But I think we do offer something that can help with that human touch that massage offers. So I think in just that capacity alone, and then having an ear to listen to them, are two ways we can be there for that person.
Yeah. And as a therapist, I feel like, when that becomes really difficult, to sit there and just listen to terrible things all day long, that's when we need our self-care the most. That's when we need to like really dig deep and be like, my attitude is suffering, getting this burnout stuff popping up where it's just like, oh, I don't really want to go to work today. I just can't listen to other people's stress, whether it's like hearing it or sensing it, feeling it in their body. That's when we really have to have these other tools. And then I think I was listening to your podcast with Peggy, and she talked about, that massage schools aren't really here to do much more than to just make fantastic massage therapists. And so we really do have to learn this other skill set of, wearing all of these different hats and holding all of these different boundaries and being, like you said, the rock for people. So I think this podcast, and I'm really excited for this podcast, and then also your supply store and training center. Like, I feel like we need that, like we need a physical place. And then we also need support when we can't be there physically. So I'm excited for this. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, Hilary. I'm so thankful for you and for the other massage therapists in my circle that have provided support and encouragement to me. And, I'm so blessed and humbled by the amount of support that I found in our community. And I really hope that that comes through with not just the podcast, but with the store once it gets open.
Awesome.
I'm so excited. I just can't wait. But I need to wrap this up because I have to go give a massage to Bridget. So I want to just again say thank you. And if you are interested in Ashiatsu or barefoot massage, the Fashiashi, please take a look at Hillary's website. We'll put it in the links in the, and wherever. However that magically happens. Thank God for Ashley, my podcast manager, for taking care of those details. So, Hilary, I'm going to let you go, but thank you again so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Handcrafted Therapy podcast. I would love to hear from you. You can email us at podcast@handcraftedtherapy.com, or you can come by the store. It's at 3303 North Central Expressway, suite number 240 in Plano, Texas, 75023. Or you can connect with me on social, Instagram, Facebook, #HandcraftedTherapy. I'm Julie Alexander, and I wish you a very happy and healthy day.